We are the recipients of a pretty significant grant enhancing sensory, social, emotional, and self-regulation skills in our students with IEPs. Our staff, which is really the meat of the grant, have been really working hard to implement evidence-based practices in their classroom to support these students and basically every student in the classroom, but really these practices have solid evidence behind them that say that they work and that they're good and they help students make progress. So I will let Maren take it away, and she's going to talk a little bit about how she's been coaching these teams, and that's really another big piece of the grant is that these teachers are supported by a coach to help them develop professionally. So Maren's going to take it away with the details. So.
Okay. All right, thank you, Bridget. There were some requirements with the grant. I'll just talk about a few of them. One of the requirements is that we have a district coordinator, which is Bridget, and that we have an internal coach, which that is my role in the grant. Another requirement was that we are attending in-person and virtual training on coaching and leadership for systems change through the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction and the Wisconsin RTI Center. So we've been able to get some really good training in working with people around the state that are also really working on this coaching model. Through the ES3 grant, I'm involved in, actually, I'm going to go back. I want to read you just quickly the goal of the grant. The grant provides public school districts with structures and processes for identifying and supporting beliefs, skills, and systems that lead to district-wide systems change to improve outcomes for students with IEPs who require sensory, social and emotional, and self-regulation instruction and support. The goal is to improve and increase access, engagement, and independence in the general education curriculum and environment. So it's a big goal that we're working really hard towards. Right now I'm involved in 6 coaching partnerships through the ES3 grant. I've had the opportunity to work with Rachel Katarabek and a few other teachers throughout the district. I wanted to share a little bit about, before I introduce Rachel and the others, I wanted to share a little bit about coaching and why I love coaching so much, and it's really becoming a really great practice. Coaching is first and foremost a partnership built on trust and equality. And it's non-evaluative, has nothing to do with a teacher evaluation. It's just a partnership. Teachers have choice and voice through reflective practices that really allow teachers to reflect on their beliefs and practices in a safe, non-threatening way through just empowering questions and building a relationship. It supports a collaborative school culture, builds collective capacity, so we're shifting away from focusing on fixing students, but to building our capacity as teachers. It emphasizes a growth mindset that's really rooted in the adult learning theory, allows for a continuum of delivery from directive to facilitative to transformational coaching. It connects really well with our trauma-informed care values that we've been talking a lot about. Safety, it's a trusting partnership. Empowerment, it builds on teachers' strengths. Collaboration, it's done with teachers, not to them. Trust, it's building those trusting relationships. And choice, it gives teachers meaningful choices in how they learn and teach. I love also that it allows for gentle and mutual accountability. So we're holding each other accountable the norm. So it's just that really gentle accountability. I wanted to share a little bit about a study that was done, and I have a little handout here that I'd like to pass out. A study that, actually, can I have one of those? That was done on the impact of training and teacher practice. And what it shows is that the traditional professional development where we sit and listen to someone, we call it sit and get, actually they've shown that only 5 to 10% of what we learn is applied. When you add practice, feedback, coaching, it increases to 80–90% of what we learn is applied in our practice. So this just really makes a strong case for the effectiveness of coaching. And the last thing I want to say about it is that coaching really allows us to lean into discomfort and vulnerability in a safe way. We know that when we're not growing and we're not changing, then we're not learning. So it just allows teachers to just lean into that discomfort a little bit with that support that they're going to get. So I've had the privilege of working with Rachel Cutter, who's one of our awesome teachers at McGee. She brought Stephanie Kincher along. They're going to share a little bit about what we're doing together, what the evidence-based practices that we're bringing to the classrooms, the teaming that she's doing, one with an individual student, and the other that she's going to talk about is more of a whole classroom intervention that she's doing. So I'll let Rachel talk.
So my name is Rachel Kotarabic. As Maren said, I teach special ed at McGee. One of the interventions that I'm doing is to really work on independence with a student on the spectrum, and he was having a lot of difficulty getting ready at the end of the day to meet his ride and get out the door. Being a third grader heading into fourth grade and then looking into Clark, that's certainly something that we want to help him build independence. So one of the strategies that we've worked on is a checklist, and I'll kind of pass it down the line. And part of this grant is really implementing these strategies with fidelity. And part of that fidelity piece is collecting data. So what Mrs. Benzinger, who is the classroom teacher, does is every day she goes through and charts on a Google Doc whether the student needed a lot of prompts, whether he was independent, whether he needed just a few prompts, so that we can really decide, do we need to tweak our system? And I can then write that in an IEP goal saying, 4 out of the 5 days of the week he'll be independent, and the data is already being tracked for me. Another evidence-based practice, in addition to providing visuals for a student, like a checklist, would be providing them something what's called a social narrative or a social story. That is something where you are kind of presenting the student with a scenario that they're going to come into, but giving it to them like they're already in this situation. For example, this one says, my name is, and that would be the student's name. I'm a third grader in Mrs. Benzinger's room. Tomorrow, Wednesday, September 26th, so this is obviously the beginning of the year, I will take a new test called STAR. This test is on the computer. I will go to Mrs. Kotarabic's room to take the test. I will read the test to Mrs. Allsweed, who is one of my paraprofessionals. I will do my best. She will remind me that some questions will be hard and others will be easy. She may also tell me to use scrap paper to work out the math problems. I can do it. And that's part of a whole nother book that he has, really encouraging himself to stick with something and build stamina and perseverance. I do have another example about the Christmas concert. So things that aren't routine in his schedule are things that I would typically write social stories for to help him acclimate and be successful in those environments. One more example. This is more of an academic example and another visual. I have a picture of the student and just a thought bubble, so that when thoughts start to wander and we need to talk about Star Wars, one of his favorite things, or Legos, I can just kind of bring them back to what our target really is for academics at the time. So that is what I'm working on with a single student, and Maren really coaching me and being a sounding board for, hey, I have this idea, what do you think? And then the other part of it is really working on emotional regulation and helping us keep our bodies ready to learn all the time. And that I introduced in Mrs. Kincher's room, and she just took it and ran with it. So I'll let her talk about the zones a little bit more, but primarily the green zone is where we want to be. Green means go, and green is good. So when students get in the red zone, the yellow zone, or the blue zone, we need to do something with our bodies to bring us back. I'll let you talk from there. This is just kind of a visual of the zones.
The great thing about zones of regulation is that it teaches kids that being in the red zone is not a bad thing. Being in the yellow zone or the blue zone is not a bad thing, and nobody is ever in the green zone all the time. I do role model that. One of the things, each student has a card at their tables, and they routinely show me, they clip what zone they're in. And this is mine, it's on the whiteboard, so they can see every day where Mrs. Kincher is. Today I was blue zone, right? And this is nice too, because the Pixar movie, whoops, Inside out, tied in really nicely with it. This is mine, I need it back for tomorrow.
Tomorrow you'll be really in the blue zone.
What?
You'll be in the white zone.
Might be headed toward red. A little angry.
So what the kids have been taught throughout the year is to try to keep themselves in the green zone. So we've worked on, they have tools in their toolkit for each zone that they're in. So a lot of the times, if the kids are in the blue zone or the yellow zone, it means they're not quite green, they're a little off, sad, not feeling good. They might be frustrated, depending. And then they go into the regulation station. So in the back of my room, I have a regulation station. There's a carpet, there's a table, there's beanbag chairs, and a bunch of things for the kids to do to help them get back into the green zone so they can concentrate on their work. So here's a picture of my regulation station. When they're back there, using some tools from their toolkit, the kids know not everything works the same for each people, so they experiment. What works for Cole might not work for Cadence, they know that. When they're back there, they do have to fill out a form, so I know what zone they were in when they went in, what they tried while they were in the regulation station, and then what zone they were in when they came out. They have 3 minutes. There's a timer that they have to set, so they can't spend all of math class in the regulation station. And sometimes, when I run out of these, they make their own. There's also...
How many students are allowed in the regulation station at one time?
One.
Just one?
Yep. And then also, they also have an option of filling out, I wish my teacher knew, and it might be a problem that they're having at home, it might be a problem that they're having in school, with friends, it might be a problem they're having with their schoolwork. I had a boy last week, he said, I wish my teacher knew why we need to round in division. He did. He was very frustrated. So, and then I look through them, and then I can talk to the kids about it if needed. And I brought with me 2 kids from my class who do a great job using the regulation station. And they're going to talk to you about why they go into the regulation station and what tool they use from their toolkit that helps them get back in the green zone. And first is Cadence. Do you want to put your paper up here?
Hi, my name is Cadence. This is what I do when I am in the regulation station. When I go in there, I am in the blue or yellow zone. What I use in there is sometimes a Rubik's Cube or Connect Sand, and sometimes a lava lamp. When you are done in there, you fill out a sheet so your teacher can know what's going on. Then you go back to your class quietly and do what the teacher says and go on with your day. This is the lava lamp, and it's a timer, and sometimes it can satisfy you when you're sad. It just drops down.
Very calming.
I just got into the green zone.
My name is Cole. Sometimes when I go in the regulation station, I am frustrated or I am tired. One thing I use when I'm frustrated is I use a Rubik's Cube, and then one thing I use when I'm tired is a dice that has exercises on it. So you roll it, and
What does it say?
15 crab walks.
Grab walks.
Can you tell us some of the other things that are on there?
You can
There's 25 bicycles, there's 15 push-ups, there's 15 X jumps, and 10 jump lunges.
You don't use that when you're tired, do you?
It wakes them up.
Blood flowing?
I might like to get that cue for my junior ramblers.
Does anyone have any questions?
I just want to say that I think you did a fabulous job presenting and giving this information on how you use the regulation station to keep you learning. And I think, parents, first of all, thank you for being here. It's really great to have so many of you here tonight. But when we look at the things that our educators are doing, when we look at a school day, and some of you that I've had as students before, you know that school is very different today than it was when we went to school, and being able to meet each child's needs where they're at and help to take them where they need to be for wherever that may be, because where they're going is different for each child. Goes right along with our Treasure Hunter Pledge, and I know that the kids do the Kids at Hope Pledge every day at McGee. Pardon? Oh, every Wednesday. Sorry, every Wednesday, and they take turns by class. I kind of tricked you there, didn't I? You do it every day, see? But that all goes with really being able to take that personal responsibility and working together to do our best. So, thank you.
Excuse me.
That's fourth grade.
Can I just put a little plug in?
Sure.
We are having on Monday, March 18th, for our Kids at Hope Community Night. We are the ES3 grant is actually sponsoring that night, and we are having. It's called Introduction to Enhancing Skills and Enhancing Social and Emotional Skills. And the state coordinator for our grant, her name is Katie Berg. She's going to be our presenter that evening, so we're really looking forward to having her. She's actually my coach, who I work with. We're looking forward to having her on that night. So that's March 18th, Monday, coming up. That's here at the high school.
March 18th, so parents, I challenge you to come back for that. There's going to be stations. Bring a friend. Let's see if we can fill that up. We start out actually with dinner. There's no charge. It's free. And so we'll work together. We also have babysitting for the young ones. So if you have little ones, you can come. All you have to do, the flyer will come home. It'll be on Facebook. It is on Facebook. It's on Facebook, and it's on our webpage. So you can go there to sign up.
By a show of hands, how many are committing to that right now? Perfect. Okay. Yep. Okay, doke. I don't know if that was worthy of a mic drop, but I just accidentally did it. Okay, thank you to Mrs. Jansky, Miss Daly, Mrs. Klein, Mrs. Slickman, Mrs. Kotarabik, and Mrs. Kencher. Thank you very much for your presentation tonight. And now some special guest certificates here. Cadence Sams. Cadence, when you get the certificate, just hold in your hand and face that way, right there. Just show him and take off, okay? Thank you. Cole Beely. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Cole. Braylon Kumbalik. Did I say that, Braylon, right? Okay. Arabelle Hess. Aaron Gleichner. Did Aaron left? Okay.
Mrs. Daly, you want to come?
Grace Glazer. Colton Sayaski. Cambry Manor. Thank you, Cambry. Bryson Thompson. And last but not least, Olivia Goss. Thank you. Thanks again, everyone. Perfect.
Thank you again. Thank you, parents, teachers, and students for coming tonight. This is what we're all here for. Have a wonderful night. Look for the weather report and the news at 5 a.m. tomorrow morning.